fall grinding of the year is complete. So it's kind of the theme of the weekend, making a big push to get everything ready for the calves for weaning. Hey, happy Friday. All right, I am home like a normal person today because varsity does not have a game tonight. We have an odd Saturday game tomorrow afternoon at 1. Yep, so this is probably enough grass for them for tonight. This little field, normally it's been 2 or 3 days, but without a bale, one night. And even if there's a little more than a day's on here, we'll probably feed another bale out over there somewhere on the other side of the drain ditch. But this dude is big. This is that 53 socks. That is a big guy. And he's like the third to last calf born. So that's why we like our 53 cow. Factor's doing good. Factor's only got a couple of days out here. All right, cows are fed. Steers just got a fresh bale. And we're gonna head down to the shop and crank away at the chopper. It's getting pretty close. Like if we really wanted to, we could probably chop in the next day or so. But there's a couple other things we wanna repair that we didn't. There's like a hole in the top of the spout and not real big, but you know, we want to fix that up. So all right, so let's do a little update. So we didn't work on the chopper yet, which is probably a good thing, because we found another fairly major issue. So we had to reset this wheel for some reason. I think we need new lock washers on here because these guys are coming a little loose. I definitely made sure I used the breaker bar when I tightened them this time, but this wheel had kind of worked itself off. You know, okay, whatever. I had tightened them the other day just so we can move it around here and stuff like that. So I was setting that back up, we blocked it up, we moved it over, but when we got it jacked up and everything was loose, you know, we're trying to check the tire to make sure that it's off the ground so we can, you know, move it in. We found ourselves a pretty sizable issue, we think at least. That axle is moving like all over. So the bearing here is going out. I mean, and when I'm saying it can move, like that axle's like, you know, moving around in that housing like 1/8 of an inch. It doesn't make any noise when we're driving it. But when it's free, like you can push on the wheel and the axle's moving. We jacked up the other side and the other side feels really, really tight. So that's good. And it's definitely not for lack of greasing. I probably throw 6-8 pumps of grease in there like every other month or something, especially when we're using it. And other than baling, it's not like this thing gets like miles. The crappy part is we need to chop corn in like a week. So we got a call into the buddy of ours that lives up the road a little ways, who's done some really good tractor work for us and equipment work for us last few years. So wait for a call back from him and kind of get his input. All right, so that is definitely not something that we were even contemplating was even in the works. Like I said, the axle hasn't been making any noise, nothing like that, and we do grease it regularly. So again, that is that's a crappy situation, especially when you're this close to wanting to chop. If I wasn't in football, we literally could be chopping this weekend. Yeah, so we're Not really sure what we're going to do there. Obviously, we'll find out what his availability is. It's probably pretty tight because he's probably chopping for his operation too. He kind of does fixing on the side. But, you know, whatever. We'll see. We'll just see what happens. And maybe we'll end up putting it on 29 and just limp along. All right, Saturday morning. On the dock for today and for this weekend. Yesterday, we got kind of a little bit of a wrench thrown at us with the fact that we have an axle bearing going out on our 4430. So we're not sure what we're going to do about that. But in the meantime, this morning we're going to try and clean the main yard to get ready for calves, because we want to split off calves on Friday, this coming Friday on the 3rd. And so we're going to do that this morning. Then I've got a game that I have to be to by noon. I have to be there at the stadium by noon. It's in town, so it's still a home game, so it's not a big, huge deal. It's just right in the middle of the day. Don't have to worry about a Badger game, so we don't have to worry about them getting their ass kicked again. We'll wait till next weekend to do that. But then tomorrow, I think it'll be a combination of probably getting like the bunker silo ready to go, more stuff in the yard, getting that ready to go. Just all sorts of little project type stuff. The chopper is actually, we'll probably still work on the chopper. There's a couple little things we want to work on, but I'm just starting to get things ready. What we're probably going to do today is just hook up the green trailer and just start our manure pile, which is fine. You know, could we spread it on a couple of fields somewhere? Maybe, maybe not, but honestly, putting on the pile isn't a bad thing either, because it introduces air, more breakdown, all that kind of stuff. So it helps us in the long run. And then possibly like November time, we'll do some manure spreading. All right, so Dad's gonna go scrape. He actually wanted the other bucket, which is fine. It's easier to get some of the stuff right up against the bunks out. But what we're gonna do, this guy hasn't done anything for like 2 months because of our stupid issues with thermostats and sensors and tap. The most this thing has done is basically sit in one spot and run for about 45 minutes. So guess what we're doing today? We're gonna put this on the green trailer and we're just gonna use this to haul and dump on our pile. right, so we just dumped load number 4. Everything seems to be going pretty decent, finding all the goodies and trash that the steers have kind of found and laid out for us. 2030 is running pretty good. I think ultimately our issue was never the actual thermostat. Ultimately, I think we just had a sensor issue and a gauge issue, which obviously we took care of that. I don't know if I got to get, if you can get a gasket, or I just have to get a new cap, because I have no gasket on that cap. I think the other thing that we found when we were kind of digging through this the last time is that the actual overflow is, you know, it's like maybe 2 inches from the top. The overflow line, if you had filled it up a little high, or maybe your thermostat got stuck so it was running a little high, that thing was plugged full of garbage. So we blew that out and cleaned that out too. So that might have been a little bit of our issue too. Why the stuff was just kind of running out the cap and onto the top of the hood. And then the tack is working like perfect. I mean, it's not even like, sometimes it used to like kind of bounce a little bit. She runs really smooth. That's running nice. So it's nice to have that. All right, so I am back, and game went pretty well. It was definitely a back and forth game, but we ended up winning 28-21 against Stevens Point. They're about half hour south of us. Really big school, always a really good program, so that's always a good one to win. But we're back. Dad's got a little bit of manure he wants to put in here yet, and then we'll haul it, and then I still got to feed the cows a bale of hay. So this real spiky type grass that's still sitting here, that's the stuff we're trying to kind of crush out. So I'm going to spread out this bale in this area. We did one chunk over here the other day, but I'll spread this out, and hopefully they'll at least knock a little bit of it back. They don't like eating it, and they can knock it back by trampling it down. I don't have to come out here and trim it back. So I think we're just going to leave them be. We looked at them the other day, pretty decent, so we'll just let them be. Nobody looked like they were hurting when they were going by. Yeah, I think that's enough for one day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey, good morning. All right, it is Sunday morning. This morning we're gonna continue cleaning the yard and getting that stuff ready to go, because we do have to do a little scraping in the barn. Some of it's pretty solid, like it's pretty firm manure because it's dried up. There's not a lot in there. It's just over the summer it's dried out and it's just gotten hard, and we got to clean up around the chute a little bit. That'll also be probably Friday morning's project before our vet gets here. But the inside part of the barn needs to get at least scraped out a little bit. So when Dad got to the farm, he reminded me we got to grind corn, because if we separate calves on Friday, we need some grain. Granted, we did get a bunch of corn oats and molasses, but we don't really want to do it next weekend because we might be chopping next weekend. Fingers crossed we're chopping next weekend. So yeah, once we get to a certain point in the crib, there's only so much that'll fall out naturally. We might be able to get a quarter load with it free flowing. After that, it's a no-go, and I gotta go up in there and start scooping and all that stuff. So we took just a smidge of a break for some fluids. We both were a little thirsty after doing a bunch of forking. But we are running. New Holland 353 mixer grinder is running okay. There's a couple of things that long term we need to do a little more maintenance to. But if this is the first time you've ever watched us grind corn, we've got our cob that we took out of the crib. We're coming into the mixer. There's a hammer mill in there that beats the heck out of it, puts it into here, and then it mixes in here. So we're taking these bags that we get from the mill, from our local mill, and the base of this is a soybean meal. There's a couple other ingredients in there that help balance it out, bring up a little protein level. And then the corn is for the energy and the cob is for the filler. All right, first batch is done. We just gotta flip a couple levers down there, and now it augers up here, down into our bin. Now we get to make these guys happy. It's been about a week and a half since they've had actual, like, good grain. Alright, we're throwing the last batch in there. It was a little light. First fall grinding of the year is complete. So it's kind of the theme of the weekend, making a big push to get everything ready for the calves for weaning. Getting the yard pretty close to ready to go. Alright, took a little lunch, back out, and I think we're gonna clean in the barn. I think. Not sure, but I think we will. It's definitely on the list of things that need to get done. All right, yeah, so we're gonna clean the barn out a little bit. I'm gonna get the steers out of there because they're kind of hanging out inside the barn because it's nice, but they'll go back in the loafing shed area again. Yeah, so they'll chill out back there. They'll be fine. They can go back in the loafing shed if they want and all that good stuff. So I'll let Dad in. He can start poking around in there. I'll have to do some of it. This won't be a good clean job. There isn't a whole lot in there, but we just want to get the majority of it out. And that is why I just left the 2030 hooked up last night. Didn't really pay. We're gonna jump on this guy again. Yeah, so like I said, this isn't gonna be your spick and span spotless clean. Most of the stuff, and like I said, we're getting about 90% of it. There's still stuff on a little bit on the edges and things like that. But ultimately, the calves really aren't gonna go in here once we sort them off. You know, they spend their time out in the yard. What we'll do on Friday is we'll clean up around the squeeze chute a little bit more. There's a lot of bird crap all over it. Got most of the garbage down and around the chute. And really, even cleaning off the chute, we got to put a little bit of bedding in the barn anyways, for when those animals do come in. But yeah, it's going pretty good. Didn't have to worry about a Packer game today. They don't play until like 7 o'clock tonight. But one thing I did, and this is kind of work related, and Bethany kind of laughed at me a little bit, and I don't normally do this, but I am back in playing fantasy football again this year. I mean, you wouldn't think that's a big deal. It's like, oh, Chris, you're a football coach. Why wouldn't you do fantasy football? I haven't done fantasy football in like 15 years. I don't know, 10 years, at least 10 years. At minimum, it's got to be close to 15 though. Just honestly, I don't have time. I always tell people, I watch Packers and I watch the Badgers. But there's a league in our office at work, and one of the guys in their league dropped out, so I basically inherited his team. So it was, I guess, a good team. So made a couple of moves. You know, we're under new ownership, new branding. We rebranded already, so it's all right. All right, so honestly, like right in here, because these two gates were closed, so this is as far as the steers could go. This was the deepest stuff. It was like 2 or 3 inches, but because it's in the barn, it was still wet. We don't have to do our concrete project because that is done. We don't have any concrete projects in here. The one benefit to having a 3-foot thick block rock wall. Yeah, you just drive into it every time. So a positive change of plans. A friend of ours that does some of our tractor work for us just called, and he got a little break in his schedule, I guess. He said if you guys can get that thing up here in like the next hour, then maybe he can at least tear it apart today yet, and see what kind of parts he needs. So we're gonna head down and grab the 44, and Dad will drive it up there, and I'll just follow on behind him. It's not too far. It's only like, honestly, what is it, 4 miles? So this weekend was definitely a big step in the right direction to get ready for weaning calves. Coming up this next week, obviously we've got a few more things we got to chip away at. Things like making sure that yard kind of dries up. Tomorrow night, I'm not sure what we're going to do with the cows yet. Whether we're going to keep feeding them or what. Dad said, he goes, how are you going to make sure that we have them in a spot where we can get them into the barnyard come Friday? We can, we just have to make sure they're there. Basically having them in this field down here is probably going to be the best bet. Possibly just bringing them through the BDA area. I don't know. We've done it a few different ways over the years. You know, that temp line going down straight down this way, coming off the field. Maybe doing that way. I don't know. We don't have that gate set up though. Wednesday, I won't be doing hardly anything farm related. Wednesday is actually mine and Bethany's wedding anniversary. It's our 3rd wedding anniversary. So yeah. But we're gonna go, I'm actually gonna take the day off because I didn't last year or the year before. And we're actually gonna go do something fun. So hopefully that turns out to be the case. But yeah, so that's on Wednesday. But then Friday I'm gonna take a half day and we're gonna separate calves and cows. Cows are going through the chute. Our vet's gonna be here. She's gonna preg check. We're gonna get some estimated dates on when everybody's bred, and then we're also gonna find out who's open and who's not. And I'm just mentally preparing myself for the multiple open cows. It is the end of the day, so it is the end of another video. All right, I hope you guys liked the video. Please hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and of course, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Help us get to our goal of 2,000 subs. We're kind of slowly cranking away, getting there. We'll get there. It's still a goal. It's still out there. Want to hit that. But please, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thanks for coming along.